The wrestling world stands still tonight as devastating news ripples through every corner of the WWE Universe, leaving fans in absolute shock and disbelief. Jacob Fatu, the powerhouse who captured hearts and dominated rings with his explosive presence, has left us far too soon, and the pain of this loss cuts deeper than any finishing move ever could. Before we dive into this heartbreaking story that has shaken the foundations of professional wrestling, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the latest wrestling news and tributes to the legends we love. The announcement came without warning, crashing into the wrestling community like a tsunami of grief that nobody saw coming. Social media platforms exploded with reactions as fans, fellow wrestlers, and industry veterans struggled to process the reality of losing someone who seemed invincible inside that squared circle. Jacob Fatu wasn't just another name on the roster or another face in the crowd of talented performers. He was a force of nature, a third-generation wrestler who carried the weight of his legendary family name while simultaneously carving out his own unique path in the brutal and unforgiving world of professional wrestling. Born into wrestling royalty as part of the legendary Anoa'i family, Jacob had greatness flowing through his veins from the moment he took his first breath. The Anoa'i dynasty has given the world some of the most iconic figures in wrestling history, and Jacob knew from an early age that he had massive boots to fill. But instead of crumbling under that pressure, he embraced it with open arms and transformed it into fuel that powered his incredible journey to the top. His connection to legends like Rikishi Umaga and his cousins the Usos and Roman Reigns meant that expectations were sky-high before he even stepped foot in a professional ring. Jacob's path to wrestling stardom began in the independent circuit where he honed his craft night after night in venues that ranged from packed arenas to small community centers. He didn't take shortcuts and he didn't rely solely on his famous last name to open doors. Instead, he showed up early, stayed late, and put in the work that separated the dreamers from the achievers. His reputation grew organically as word spread about this incredible athlete who combined the agility of a cruiserweight with the power of a super heavyweight, creating a style that left audiences breathless and opponents battered. The independent wrestling scene became Jacob's proving ground where he faced every type of opponent imaginable and adapted his style to overcome each unique challenge. He wrestled in Major League Wrestling where he captured championships and delivered performances that had talent scouts from every major promotion taking notice. His matches weren't just athletic competitions but storytelling masterclasses where every move had meaning and every sequence built toward moments that fans would replay in their minds for years to come. Jacob understood that professional wrestling was about more than just winning and losing, it was about creating connections with people who invested their emotions into every near fall and dramatic reversal. When Jacob finally made his way to WWE, the excitement was electric and the anticipation reached fever-pitch levels. Fans who had followed his independent career knew they were about to witness something special on the biggest stage in professional wrestling. His debut didn't disappoint as he brought that same intensity and authenticity that made him a star on the independents to a global audience of millions. The WWE Universe welcomed him with open arms, recognizing immediately that this wasn't just another talented athlete but someone who possessed that intangible quality that separates good wrestlers from generational talents. His presence in the ring commanded attention in ways that can't be taught or manufactured. When Jacob's music hit and he made his entrance, the energy in the arena shifted as thousands of fans rose to their feet in anticipation of the carnage they knew was coming. His Samoan heritage showed in every aspect of his performance from the traditional war dances to the fearless approach that made him willing to sacrifice his body for the entertainment of the fans. He never took the easy way out and he never held anything back, giving everything he had every single time that bell rang. The physicality of Jacob's wrestling style was breathtaking to witness in person. He moved with a speed that seemed impossible for someone of his size, launching himself over the top rope with moonsaults that defied physics and left commentators scrambling for adequate words to describe what they just witnessed. His strikes echoed through arenas with sickening thuds that made fans in the cheap seats wince in sympathetic pain. But beyond the spectacular high spots and devastating power moves, Jacob possessed an understanding of ring psychology that elevated his matches beyond mere spot fests into emotionally resonant stories that audiences invested in completely. His rivalry with top WWE superstars produced some of the most talked about matches in recent memory. Every time Jacob stepped into that ring, fans knew they were going to see something they had never seen before because he constantly pushed the boundaries of what was possible. He didn't play it safe and he didn't hold back when it came to taking risks that other wrestlers would consider too dangerous. That fearless approach earned him the respect of his peers and the adoration of fans who appreciated his willingness to put his body on the line for their entertainment. Behind the scenes, Jacob was known as someone who genuinely cared about the business and the people in it. Younger wrestlers often spoke about how he took time to offer advice and encouragement when they were struggling with the demands of life on the road. He remembered what it was like to be the new person trying to find their place in a locker room full of established stars, so he made efforts to ensure that nobody felt alone or overwhelmed by the pressure. Veterans respected his work ethic and his respect for the traditions and unwritten rules that keep the wrestling business functioning properly. His family legacy weighed heavily on his shoulders, but Jacob never complained about the expectations or pressure that came with being part of wrestling's most famous dynasty. Instead, he spoke proudly about his heritage and the responsibility he felt to honor those who came before him while also creating his own legacy that future generations of the Inoue family could build upon. He understood that being part of that family tree wasn't just abutting the glory but also about maintaining the standards of excellence that made the Inoue name synonymous with greatness in professional wrestling. The news of his passing has sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling industry as people struggle to comprehend how someone so young and seemingly healthy could be taken from us so suddenly. Details remain scarce as his family requests privacy during this unimaginably difficult time, but the outpouring of love and support from the wrestling community demonstrates the impact Jacob had on everyone who knew him or watched him perform. Social media feeds have transformed into digital memorials filled with photos, videos, and heartfelt messages from people whose lives were touched by his work and his spirit. Fellow wrestlers have been sharing their memories and expressing their grief in raw and emotional posts that reveal the depth of the loss felt throughout the industry. Main event superstars and developmental talent alike have spoken about Jacob's kindness, his passion for wrestling, and the void his absence creates in locker rooms and backstage areas where his presence always lifted spirits. Many have described him as a locker room leader who brought people together and fostered the kind of camaraderie that makes the grueling schedule of professional wrestling bearable. Fans around the world are organizing tribute shows and memorial gatherings where they can come together to celebrate Jacob's life and career while supporting each other through the grieving process. Wrestling communities on every continent have been sharing their favorite Jacob Fatu matches and moments, creating impromptu retrospectives that highlight the incredible body of work he left behind. From his independent wrestling days to his time in Major League Wrestling and finally his arrival in WWE, every phase of his career produced moments that fans will treasure forever. The tributes from WWE superstars past and present paint a picture of a man who was respected not just for his abilities but for his character and integrity. Multiple wrestlers have mentioned how Jacob went out of his way to help others succeed, offering to work with them on match layouts or character development without expecting anything in return. He understood that the wrestling business thrives when talented people elevate each other rather than tearing each other down, and he lived that philosophy every single day of his career. His family is undoubtedly devastated by this loss as they try to navigate through grief while being in the public eye. The Inoue family has experienced tragedy before, but that doesn't make this loss any easier to bear. Jacob was a son, a brother, a cousin, and a friend whose absence will be felt at family gatherings and celebrations for years to come. The wrestling community has rallied around the family, offering support in whatever form it might be needed as they prepare to say goodbye to someone who left us far too soon. Looking back at Jacob's career highlights brings both joy and sadness as we remember the incredible moments he gave us while mourning the future moments we'll never get to witness. His championship reigns were celebrated with the kind of passion that only wrestling fans can muster, and his classic matches will be studied by aspiring wrestlers for generations as examples of how to tell stories through athletic performance. Every near fall, every dramatic comeback, every perfectly executed sequence was crafted by someone who truly understood and loved professional wrestling. The wrestling business will continue because that's what it does, but it will do so with a Jacob Fatu-shaped hole that can never truly be filled. Other talented performers will emerge and create their own legacies, but none of them will be Jacob Fatu and none of them will replace what he brought to the industry. His unique combination of heritage, talent, charisma, and heart made him one of a kind, and the wrestling world is infinitely poorer for his absence. His impact extended beyond just the matches and the championships to the way he carried himself and represented his family and his culture. Jacob was proud of his Samoan heritage and he made sure that pride showed through in everything he did. He performed the Shiva Tao with reverence and power, educating audiences about his culture while honoring the traditions passed down through generations. He understood that representation matters and he took seriously the responsibility of being a role model for young Samoan wrestlers and fans who saw themselves reflected in his success. The final chapter of Jacob's story has been written far too early, cutting short a career that still had so much left to accomplish. There were dream matches that will never happen now, championship runs that will never materialize, and moments of glory that exist only in the realm of what could have been. The wrestling world is left to wonder what heights Jacob could have reached if given more time, but we can take comfort in knowing that the time he did have was spent doing what he loved and inspiring millions of people around the world. His entrance music will continue to play in arenas and on television, but the man who made that music meaningful won't be there to answer the call. His gear will hang in the WWE warehouse alongside other pieces of wrestling history, a silent testament to a career that burned bright but ended too soon. His name will be mentioned alongside the other greats of his family, forever linked to a legacy of excellence that spans multiple generations and countless classic matches. The void left by Jacob's passing will be felt in countless ways, both large and small. Young wrestlers who looked up to him as an inspiration will have to find new role models to guide their paths. Fans who plan their schedules around seeing him perform will have to adjust to a wrestling landscape without his presence. Fellow wrestlers who considered him a friend will have to navigate locker rooms that feel emptier without his energy and positivity. The Inoue family will have to endure another loss in a family tree that has given so much to professional wrestling while enduring heartbreak that seems disproportionate to their contributions. Memorial shows and tribute videos will help fans process their grief and celebrate Jacob's life, but nothing can truly ease the pain of losing someone who meant so much to so many people. Wrestling fans are a passionate group who invest emotionally in the performers they love, and Jacob inspired the kind of loyalty and devotion that creates lifelong bonds between performer and audience. His matches will be rewatched countless times as fans seek comfort in revisiting the moments when Jacob was at his best, flying through the air or standing victorious with championship gold held high. The lessons Jacob taught through his career about hard work, respect, and staying true to yourself will continue to resonate long after the initial shock of his passing fades into a dull ache that never fully goes away. He showed that talent combined with dedication and respect for the business could take you to the top of the industry. He demonstrated that honoring your heritage while forging your own path wasn't just possible but necessary for true greatness. He proved that being a good person and a successful wrestler weren't mutually exclusive goals but rather complementary aspects of a life well lived. As the wrestling world mourns this tremendous loss, we're reminded of the fragility of life and the importance of appreciating our heroes while they're still with us. Jacob Fatu gave everything he had to professional wrestling, and in return, wrestling gave him a platform to touch lives and create moments that will live forever in the hearts and minds of fans worldwide. His legacy isn't just measured in championships won or matches wrestled but in the impact he had on everyone who watched him perform or had the privilege of knowing him personally. The tributes will eventually slow down and the wrestling world will move forward because that's what it must do, but Jacob Fatu will never be forgotten. His name will be spoken with reverence in discussions about great performers who left us too soon. His matches will be recommended to new fans as examples of wrestling done right. His story will be told and retold as an inspiration to anyone who dares to dream of making it in the brutal and beautiful world of professional wrestling. He lived his dream, and in doing so, he gave us the gift of witnessing greatness in real time. The pain of this loss is still fresh and the tears still flow freely as the wrestling community comes to terms with a reality that seems impossible to accept. Jacob Fatu is gone, taken from us in what should have been the prime of his career and his life. The injustice of it all is overwhelming, but we can find solace in knowing that Jacob lived authentically and pursued his passion with single-minded determination. He didn't waste the time he had, and he didn't leave anything in the tank when he performed. He gave us everything and asked for nothing except the opportunity to entertain and inspire. Rest in peace, Jacob Fatu. Thank you for the matches, the moments, and the memories that will last forever. Thank you for representing your family with pride and honor. Thank you for inspiring the next generation of wrestlers who will look to your career as a blueprint for success. Thank you for being exactly who you were without apology or compromise. The wrestling world will miss you more than words can express, but your legacy will live on through everyone who was fortunate enough to witness your incredible talent and undeniable spirit. If this tribute to an incredible wrestler touched your heart, please subscribe to stay updated on all the latest wrestling news and join our community of fans who celebrate the legends of this amazing industry we all love.